meteorologist Patrick Keith. I mean, here in Georgia right now, and it's beautiful, 67 degrees outside. It doesn't really feel like that type of weather that we've been talking about, like the cold weather, the catching a cold weather.
No.
But who knows? I'm sure it'll come eventually since it is October.
Yeah, we're just a little bit of time away from winter. Looking forward to some cooler numbers. We're getting a little bit of a taste of cooler temperatures today. We do have high pressure to the north and east of us that's bringing in an easterly wind, and an east wind is always a cooling wind for us here in North Georgia, and that's why temperatures are a little bit cooler than they were yesterday. Right now, we're talking about a wind at roughly 5 to 10 miles per hour across most of the area, and most of us are a little bit cooler than we were yesterday. Bigger differences the further south and west in North Georgia you go. We're sitting at 65 from Marietta to Chamblee, 67 here in Atlanta. Check out Newnan. They're still in the low 70s, 73 degrees in Newnan, 71 in LaGrange, holding on to 70 in Eatonton. Those numbers trending a little bit warmer over the next hour or so as we're starting to see a little bit more sunshine break through those clouds. But then those numbers will slide back into the lower 60s the closer we get to the 9 o'clock hour. Expecting overnight temperatures to fall to 55 degrees, a comfortable, mild evening with more sunshine on tap as we head into the day tomorrow. With more sun, that means we're going to trend back into warmer territory. So mid-50s for the start of the day. If you're heading out of the door, most of us won't need sleeves. If you're cold nature, you may need that light jacket for a few hours. But we get back into nice territory as those sun rays start to break through the clouds. Afternoon temperatures climbing into the upper 60s, eventually into the low 70s. As folks are heading out to the gym, we'll see partly cloudy skies through the overnight and warming numbers as we head towards the middle of the week. Up to 79 degrees here in Atlanta Wednesday afternoon, 80 in Covington, 81 down in Eatonton, and that Halloween forecast looks a little bit warmer as well. 80 degrees across a large chunk of North Georgia for afternoon temperatures, which means that if you're heading out, doing some trick-or-treating, maybe going to a Halloween party Thursday evening, it's not going to feel bad at all. Check it out. Upper 70s at around the 6 o'clock hour, temperatures falling to 70 by around 9. So really just a gorgeous stretch through the end of the work week. We are watching a cold front that's going to slide through the area. A 20% chance of showers, mainly north and west of Atlanta. Other than that, it's going to be a dry stretch, but I am expecting another one of these wedge situations as we head into the weekend, which means that we could see temperatures trend down to the mid 70s on Sunday, and then we get back into the upper 70s by next Monday. We're keeping an eye on the tropics because we are still in hurricane season, and right now nothing is happening, but over the course of the next week, there's about a 40% chance that we could get some development there. Here's a look at one of our in-house models, and you can kind of see just the rain moving through the area, but then you see this little circle here. That's indicating a low pressure system. Looks like that's going to eventually move towards the north and then northeast, which means that there will be no impacts to us here in North Georgia.